It was morning, early morning, at the hole of the Midnight Librarian. Shrouzberry poured water into a basin, soaked a rag, and began washing the feet of the Midnight Librarian. Twatson awoke by the splashing of water, perked up from a pile of books he slept on. Twatson walked over to the back room where Shrouzberry had the Midnight Librarian's naked body on a table.
Are you washing his foot?
John 13:6.
Who's that?
When Jesus came to Simon Peter, Peter asked Jesus, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" To which Jesus replied, "You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand."
Sounds made up.
I hope one day for your sake, Twatson, you will understand. Twatson looked perplexed. Although the ministry's secret police was out looking for Shrouzberry, Maple had in his possession the magnifying glass of Veritas, a magnifying glass that had the ability to lead its owner to anything they seek to find.
I heard you leave in the middle of the night, Shrouzberry.
I didn't want to wake you. I had to go for a walk and clear my mind.
Is that all you did?
What are you, my mother?
No! It's just that last night you didn't just lose a friend, you gained a great power.
Yes, and with great power comes great responsibility. I understand, Twatson.
Oh, I'm sure you truly do understand that. Just don't let your feelings get in the way of this.
Thank you for your concern. Yet the Midnight Librarian's death must be avenged. And speaking of the power in the enchanted magnifying glass of Veritas, I have an idea.
What's your idea, Shrouzberry?
A way to find out exactly who has been taking the missing pinkies.
But how?
With this. Shrouzberry reached his paw into one of his many inner coat pockets and pulled out the enchanted magnifying glass of Veritas.
What a novel idea!
Twatson excitedly spoke. Maple held the enchanted magnifying glass of Veritas up to his eye, bringing it closer and farther from his face. Enchanted magnifying glass of Veritas, find me the one who is stealing pinkies. The cloud over Maple's left shoulder illuminated purple and pink and began to rumble. Then, through the magnifying glass of Veritas, Maple began to see the smoke-like ether appear. It led out of the back door of the Midnight Librarian's hole and led back into the labyrinth of tunnels that ran under Sugarloaf. Twatson, grab the maps of the train lines and follow me. The game is afoot!
Let the magnifying glass of Veritas lead you.
The two detectives trekked through the labyrinth of tunnels, guided only by the enchanted magnifying glass of Veritas. Left, right, left. Right, left, right. The two went back and forth.
So you just commanded and it guides you, is that it?
Precisely, my dear Twatson.
So why can't I see anything through it? Looks like an ordinary magnifying glass to me.
I believe its secrets can only be conveyed to its owner.
Sounds like rubbish.
You know what else was rubbish?
Don't say it.
The blowjob your mother gave me last night.
Oh, real nice. She's dead, Shrouzberry. Dead.
I know. Almost threw out my back digging her up.
Oh, enough already. Just tell me what your magnifying glass says, Shrouzberry.
We must make a left here. The ether led the two detectives to a ladder leading to a sewer grate, located somewhere in the city of Sugarloaf. Maple peeked through the sewer grate and put the enchanted magnifying glass of Veritas up to his eye. Across the road, he could see the ether leading into none other than Madame Alessandra's mystical menagerie.
Just as I suspected, that whore Madame Alessandra's had a hand in the missing pinkies this whole time.
I can't believe it. I was so naive. She played me like a cheap fiddle this whole time.
I wouldn't get too upset about it, old mouse. She's a professional manipulator.
I suppose you're right.
And trust me, you're not that hard to manipulate.
What's that supposed to mean?
Never mind. Anyway, by the zombie-like stage of the veiled pinkies in the menagerie, I can deduce that Madame Alessandra is using some sort of drug to make the pinkies submissive. It must be a chemical close to LSD.
LSD?
Yes. It is said that the United States government has been working with LSD and mind-altering drugs since they were first discovered. You see, it helps make one's mind more compliant, pull down all mental walls one has put up, much like the large amounts of fluoride the Nazis put in the waters of the concentration camps. Yet, LSD trips you out at the same time. It is said that Jerry Garcia and Anton LaVey were led to Palo Alto by Robert Hunter, who had been in the government LSD studies at their Palo Alto base. Yes, Madame Alessandra could be having those pinkies believe anything she wanted right now. We must be careful, Watson.
How do you suppose we get in there?
Enchanted magnifying glass of Veritas. Lead us to Madame Alessandra safely and undetected.
The cloud above Maple's left shoulder rumbled and turned purple and pink. The ether then led further down the tunnel system, yet this time only two lefts, and the ether led to a door, which the two detectives opened, and led to a hallway inside Madame Alessandra's mystical menagerie. Maroon cloth lined the walls with golden accents. The two detectives walked down the hallway towards a banister at the top of a staircase.
Congratulations, Detective Shrouzberry. You've solved the case.
And what have I won, Madame Alessandra?
You, Detective Shrouzberry, have won the great honor of being our final sacrifice.
Madame Alessandra removed a cloth over a sacrificial altar in the middle of the marble room.
Oh, goody. I surely love a good sacrifice.
Oh, so do I. Yes, I did love going to see Bershabo's magic act. A sacrifice to the Canaanite god Moloch. You know, I procured his assistance myself. He had a certain particular taste. They all do. Oh, so much power could be taken from a good sacrifice.
To me, drugging young pinkies and having them do your perverse bidding is far from powerful.
That's the thing, Detective Shrouzberry. I never had to seek out these pinkies. These pinkies all came to me. I offered them safety, a home, and strength.
Strength. Try submission, drugged, fooled, and dolled up.
No, Detective Shrouzberry, not fooled, enlightened. elevated, empowered. Through self-discovery and working with magic, on the streets they were broken, scared orphans, sold into sexual slavery. Now they're goddesses in the making.
Oh, how benevolent of you.
Ever since I have met you, you have been disrespectful to me. And I've had just about enough of it. You wear disrespect like a badge of honor, Detective Shrouzberry. So, if there isn't anything else, come down here and let's begin the ceremony.
Oh dear, Maurez, our balls are up against it now. What are we to do?
Follow my lead, Watson.
Shrouzberry cleared his throat.
Divination always fascinated me as a youth, especially if you found an exceptionally good practitioner.
Shrouzberry dragged the back of his non-manicured claws along the spine of the banister. A bead of sweat began to form on the brow of Madame Alessandra as Maple slowly descended the staircase.
I remember in my youth in New Orleans, when my mother first became a widow, she would bring me with her to a variety of different psychics and soothsayers. She was devastated by the untimely death of my father, as I'm sure you can understand, Miss Alessandra, being a widow yourself.
Shrouzberry pulled out a flask from his coat and lifted it in the air.
A toast to the dead. How envious we living are of you.
Maple sips from his flask and places it back into one of his many inner coat pockets.
Entire faiths built upon the sex appeal of death and the afterlife. So ironic. When we were children, we have such an innocent lust for life, learning, exploring, loving, and most importantly, living. Living your own life the way you want. Not living it perfectly to get on the guest list in the afterlife. Our mistakes are what molds us, what teaches us, what inspires us to push on in the current in the night, having the sail catch the wind at just the right moment and steering clear from the rocky shores of failure again.
Maurez had 3 more steps to go until he would be face to face with Madame Alessandra and her pinky cult. Madame Alessandra was sweating now. Would Shrouzberry's rousing speech inspire the pinkies in the cult to disobey Madame Alessandra's orders? She began to get angry and unsheathed her ceremonial dagger as Maple continued.
Take it from me, girls. You all will crash into many rocky shores. Yet, when you crash, remember, you have 2 options. 1, to lay there dead on the shores, or to arise from your almost watery graves, march inland, learn from your mistakes, and learn to sail again. And I promise you, ladies, you will sail again. For the glorious releasing embrace of the wings of death doesn't take you to an afterlife. No, it takes you to another life. So heed my words. Don't waste it. Here, explore it. Explore this life till there's nothing left, because there is always more.
There was a long silence, one where one could not only hear a pin drop, but the blood dripping from the pin-pricked finger. Shrouzberry was now face to face with Madame Alessandra and her pinky cult. Suddenly, a voice from the back broke the deafening silence.
I've always wanted to dine on the trash cans of the Eiffel Tower.
Not soon after, another voice.
I've always wanted to eat out of the hot dog carts in Times Square,
Said a pinky in a fox mask. The pinkies were starting to wake out of their drug-induced trances and take off their masks. Madame Alessandra, still in the cat mask, became furious and grabbed her ceremonial dagger. Shrouzberry saw her coming a mile away, yet instead of fighting back, he opened his arms wide, rolled his eyes into the back of his head, and embraced what would be the swift relief of death. Madame Alessandra raised the blade over her head and began to strike down upon Shrouzberry. Out of nowhere, a snaggle-toothed pinky in a bunny mask jumped on the back of Madame Alessandra just before striking Shrouzberry. The pinky sunk her teeth into Madame Alessandra's neck. Blood shot out of the wound. As her necklace broke and the pearls hit the floor, the pinky continued to gnaw away at the carotid artery of Madame Alessandra. All the other pinkies looked on in awe. Their leader for so long, one they thought was all-powerful and invincible, now nothing but a husk of meat on the floor, bleeding out from the neck. Shrouzberry broke out of his meditation and witnessed the pinky eating away at Madame Alessandra's throat.
Someone once told me how some tribes in the Amazon believe that if you eat the body of the leader, you absorb their power.
Elma! Could it really be you?
Watson ran down the long staircase. Elma and Shrouzberry embraced one another. It didn't matter that Elma's mouth and dress were covered in Madame Alessandra's blood. The two lovers had been away from one another so long that they made out swapping Madame Alessandra's blood into each other's mouths.
April, you knew this whole time. You didn't tell me.
It was my plan. Fake Elma's death, distracting the audience away from the kidnapping of Pashabo by the Council of Chip. This also freed Elma up to be an informant on the inside of Madame Alessandra's operation. It worked. What can I say, old boy?
And did you never think at what expense? Had you not thought of my feelings in this? I thought Elma was dead. I grieved her death. I felt true loss, guilt even. Now I feel manipulated in one of the worst ways.
Detective Watson, we had to make it seem like I actually was dead in order for me to fully immerse myself into Madame Alessandra's toast. Oh, I'm truly sorry that you feel manipulated and that you mourned me. But now I'm back, and there's so much to report.
Well, I am glad you're back, Elma. I don't understand, though. I thought all the pinkies were drugged when they first got into the cult. Why were you not affected?
Oh, that's simple, silly. Maple's been dosing me up with mind-altering drugs. Well, ever since I met him, I built up quite a tolerance and an immunity to them.
You sure have. She's quite the tripping trooper. Speaking of troopers, we should make our way to the bar to meet with the young mouse who can lead us to the trains. These trains, Elma, they took his grandfather and other mice away the other night.
That all checks out with what I've learned from the cult. I'll tell you about it on the way to the bar.
To the bar, then. Post haste.
The old gang was back together. Shrouzberry and his two companions, Elma and Twatson, made their way to the bar to meet with a young mouse to discuss the whereabouts of the mysterious trains full of mice that were leaving the city of Sugarloaf under the cover of night. The three walked into the bar and made their way to the back, where they were to meet with the young mouse in a curtained booth.
With these railroad plans and that young mouse's testimony, we should have a real shot in finding out where these trains are going.
Indeed. I just hope your informant wasn't just dreaming up the whole thing.
Well, you can ask him right now.
Shrouzberry drew the velvet curtain to reveal the young mouse boy hanging from a rope in the middle of the booth. The worst part of it was that his tongue had been cut out and placed upon a plate on the table.
Apparently, we can't ask him now.
Good heavens, Twatson. The poor boy's dead.
No shit, Shrouzberry.
Oh, someone's edgy tonight.
I'm just going through a lot right now.
Well, sack up and move on with it. We had to lie to you about Elma's death to make it look convincing for those eyes on the ministry which are always watching. Elma's alive and well now, Twatson. I'd call that a win, a gift horse, and I ain't checking for teeth.
Gift horse? Enough already! What are we going to do about this situation now? It seems whoever did this is trying to send a message.
Indeed. The message is, we are getting close.
But how are we to find these trains that he was supposed to lead us to?
Perhaps if we ask the enchanted magnifying glass of Veritas to lead us to his killers, it will lead us to these mysterious trains.
I think it's worth a shot.
All right. Enchanted magnifying glass of Veritas, lead me to this young mouse's killer.
The cloud over Maple's left shoulder began to illuminate purple and pink once again. It began to rumble as a tiny lightning bolt shot out from it as Maple brought the enchanted magnifying glass of Veritas up to his eye. Through the glass, Shrouzberry began to see the purple smoke like ether appear around the hanging dead mouse boy's feet. It made its way through the front of the bar and out onto the streets of Sugarloaf. On the other side of Sugarloaf, high atop the grandfather clock that sits in the rusty whistle, Maisto Mouse sat in his office, looking over papers that were scattered all over his desk.
Come in. Sire, I have very unsettling news. Very unsettling news. Well, we've just received word that, Madame Alessandra, she's dead. Alessandra is dead? Yes, sire. It's true. Sire, are you all right? Oh, Shrouzberry. Was it Shrouzberry? According to our contact, no. No? Then who? Though Shrouzberry was there, he didn't kill her. The one who killed Madame Alessandra was the Pinky Elma. Seems her death was all a ruse for her to infiltrate Madame Alessandra's cult. Smart. He's smart, that Shrouzberry. Yet, losing an asset like the lovely Alessandra. Let's just say it's not good for business. Tell me, does Lucille look hungry to you?
Pardon me, sire?
I asked, does Lucille look hungry to you?
Maisto Mouse got up out of his chair and grabbed the hench mouse by the ear.
Because she sure looks hungry to me.
Maisto dragged the hench mouse to Lucille's cage, which was in the floor of Maisto's office.
No, I didn't do nothing. I didn't do anything, sire.
No, you didn't, did you? You did nothing. But now, you're gonna be something.
What?
A sacrifice. To bring good fortune and a meal for Lucille.
No, please, sire, no.
Maisto opened the door to Lucille's cage and held the hench mouse by the lapels of his jacket. Lucille's salivating mouth lay waiting in the darkness below. Two hench mice broke into Maisto's office.
What the hell's going on?
Once they saw it wasn't Maisto screaming, they did nothing but watch. Maisto, with his one dead, scarred eye, looked deep into the eyes of the hench mouse.
Wait, no, not yet. I wanna see it, not just yet.
Below, Lucille groaned in the darkness. The hench mouse closed his eyes.
No, I wanna see it in your eyes. Open your eyes. Open your eyes!
The hench mouse slowly opened his eyes. The fear was rampant.
Oh, there it is. Yes. Now you can die.
No!
Maisto let go of the hench mouse's lapels. As the mouse slowly fell to the ground, Lucille smacked him out of the air. The hench mouse hit the ground with a massive echoing thud. Lucille batted him around her cage like a rag doll and stalked the unfortunate hench mouse into a corner. Maisto was breathing fast and heavy.
You boys ever hear the expression, don't kill the messenger? Well, if I were you, I'd come back with a win.
I believe we have one, sire.
Maisto turned his head.
A team has just taken out the peasant boy that tailed us earlier, just like you asked. He won't be squealing to no one.
Maisto Mouse slowly turned around and walked towards the hench mouse. With each step by step, the hench mouse shook faster. He and Maisto were now nose to nose. Maisto grabbed their arms aggressively.
See? You're learning. Now get out.
The two hench mice quickly left Maisto's office. Maisto slowly walked back to his desk. He gently placed his paw upon the desk and gracefully moved his fingers across the wood.
Alessandra.
This has been a Watson Run Recording House production.